Hello, it's Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Come with a blog post we want to share with you. The iPhone 5 was just released yesterday on Friday, and we got a hold of one, of course. And also, we're comparing it now with the Samsung Galaxy S3. Both phones are from AT&T. The AT&T iPhone is mine. Thank you to AT&T for giving us the Samsung Galaxy S3. One of the cool things about AT&T, of course, with the new iPhone 5 is you can still do data and talk on it at the same time. Well, still with the other two carriers, Sprint and Verizon, you cannot, which is amazing to me that that's still going on. So anyway, we're going to compare two basically AT&T phones against each other. We're going to be doing just benchmarks on this video. Be sure to see our full video reviews we're doing of the iPhone 5, comparisons to iPhone 4S, and everything else on the ChrisVossShow.com and our other channels. So let's run through the benchmarks and see what we get. Now, both these phones are working on the latest available OSs for them. This is OS 6, iOS 6 over here on the iPhone 5, and this is 4.0 for Android on the Samsung Galaxy S3, which at this point in time is the latest available update for them. You can see some of the data here when it comes to the ARM 7s. Now, evidently what Apple has done is in their ARM 7 chip, they have made it super fast and super speedy to where the gigahertz is kind of, when you compare them side by side here, there's a distinct difference in the architecture of the build. So let's go ahead and run the benchmarks and see how it compares. And we'll run a number of benchmarking facilities here so you can see them. What we're seeing so far from all the news media and everybody else who runs benchmarks is it looks like the iPhone probably beats Galaxy S3 hands down almost every time. So let's see if truth is really out there, and we're going to find out. Of course, we're going to give you some comparisons. Now, the great thing about watching a video on the Chris Voss Show or the Chris Voss channel is you can download most of the apps that we're using. They're free, both on the Android, and I think you do have to pay for some of them, like they're fairly inexpensive on the iOS product. What's great is you can do your own benchmarking and compare the numbers we're presenting to you here and decide for yourself if the current phone that you're looking at, playing with, is a phone that you may want to upgrade to either of these devices. Now you can see here, wow, 1602. That's the first reading of the Geekbench iOS product came out at 1601. So 1602 is what we got for the iPhone 5. The Galaxy Samsung S3 scored much lower. I usually see this score about 1500, but 1479 in this particular case. You can see here on integer scores, the iPhone 5 outpaced it by quite a bit, 1256 compared to 1021. The floating point, 2086 compared to, I stand a little corrected, I guess. The floating point on the Samsung Galaxy S3 beat it at 2402. The memory, 1887. The memory on the Samsung Galaxy S3 didn't do as good at 1263. And the stream process for the iPhone 5 really kicked butt, 951 against 293 for the Samsung Galaxy S3. Let's page down. We can look at the system information that we have here, and you can kind of see the details of what OSs and things that these are working with. Now, the Samsung Galaxy S3, it should be pointed out, will later get Jelly Bean Update, which is the latest coolest thing to come out of the Android OS system. It'll be interesting to see if there's any effect that goes on from that update in the performance, speed, and benchmarking of those devices of the Samsung Galaxy S3. So stay tuned and watch for that. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so that when that update comes out, we'll of course be doing a whole set of new benchmarking just for you folks at home. So you can see here the breakdowns of the performance, and then like I said, what's really great about these details is you can compare them to your phones at home. Let's take a look at the speed tests. We're going to go ahead and pull up the speed test. You'll be able to see how each of these devices did. Now, the speed test we'll be using will be the results log of the speed test. So you can see here they're both still on their Wi-Fi, and so if you write me on YouTube and go, the Wi-Fi is still on, these are results from when we had the Wi-Fi off. So you can see here these are the results. They're both through AT&T in their speed tests. They're both running on the 4G LTE network. And so you can see the variance. The processor being, of course, topping out across any smartphone now, is able to process tons and tons more data, and so it can download and upload much faster. So you can see here the speed tests, both comparatively, both were run with the Wi-Fi off. Pretty amazing, huh? The iPhone 5 is shaping up, in the 2 days that I've been using it, to be a monster of a speedy phone. Just speedy, fast, and internet fast. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other results. Okay, so let's take a look at how the Passmark performance test benchmarks did. So you can find this app on both the iOS devices, and you can find it on the Android devices. I think it's free on most Android devices, and I think it'll cost you $1 or $2 on the iOS product. Now, so what we have here is the system scored pretty much 3,999 against the system on the Galaxy S3 of 2,094. Really huge numbers here. We're seeing massive numbers out of the iPhone 5 that have just been really surprising in comparisons with the iPhone 4S, just blowing the iPhone 4S away by 2 to 3 times. Again, you can see some of the comparisons here. CPU, 25,057 it scored, whereas the CPU on the Galaxy S3, only 5,211. That's That's a little more than 4 times, almost 5 times the amount of scoring when it comes to this. Now, each of these tests are different, and they score different in the way they're done and everything else. So that's why we show you a bunch of them, so that you can see the massive stats and decide for yourself. You can look at the disks, read and write. 15,159 against 3,713. The memory is 3,054 against 2,017 on the GS, on the S3. On the 2D, 1680 against a 1686, the one place where the devices actually came close in scoring numbers too. And then you can see here with the 3D graphics, the 5 scored 1748 against 761. So pretty amazing scoring tests that are going on so far in what we're doing. And you can see here that the iPhone 5 with the new architecture that they put into the V7 ARM is just amazing, amazing stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at the scores that we got. We're using the GL benchmark 2.1.5 in both these cases, the Egypt standard. You can see here that the in the top number, which is the one we're looking for, the iPhone 5 performed at 6,777 frames, 60 frames per second. It really rocked. In the Samsung Galaxy S3, didn't come in quite as good with the same benchmarking, 5420 frames at 48 frames per second. Now, not to knock the S3, but that's really good in the comparisons that we do against other Android phones and older iPhones. So it's still a great number for the S3, but looks like the S5 is holding up as being faster. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what's called the SunSpider JavaScript benchmarks. This basically measures how well the devices serve up on a mobile browser. Now, in this case, the lower number is what you're after as opposed to a higher number. The lower number you can get for service and the amount of time it takes to deliver the results is the key. So you can see these here, hopefully. I'll go ahead and give you a better shot at these, and hopefully you can see them through the screen. But the total overall through the SunSpider was, for the iPhone 5, 891.0 ms. So super freaking fast for service through a browser. And keep in mind, you want the lower score. Higher score means you're going to take longer to serve up the web pages. Here on the right with the Samsung Galaxy S3 came at 2,092 total. So basically the iPhone 5 beat it on a score of, well, about 3 times, if you will. 2 times and then some. On being much faster at giving you web pages. I got to tell you, it does just visually when you're downloading stuff, especially on the 4G network, it makes a huge amount of difference. I actually access my internet stuff more often now on the iPhone 5 than ever before, when I used to just go, oh no, if I'm going to the internet, I'm going on my iPad or my Samsung Galaxy S3. Okay, so that wraps up our benchmarking. Normally we'll use browser mark to take and also show the browser speed and give you some benchmarks, but their site seems to be overwhelmed the last 24 hours because we can't get any results from it and it fails out. So possibly people like us are doing a lot of testing on their site. So that's pretty much a rundown. You can see here that across the board it's whipping butt on just about every smartphone out there. I don't think I've seen a smartphone that's beating it yet. There might be some smaller categories or thinner categories that it beats it at. But the benchmarking tests we're doing, the iPhone 5 is definitely dominating. Now, I would say that a good second phone out of all the smartphones we've tested and seen is definitely the S3. You can't knock the product when it comes down to it, and I'm really excited to see what comes out with the next S3 generation. So be sure to check out both these phones. They're both available from AT&T Wireless. This is my personal phone, but thank you AT&T Wireless for providing us with the Samsung Galaxy S3 so we can share these wonderful benchmarking videos. Be sure to see all the other videos we're doing. We're doing a full comparison of both these phones, cameras, everything, OS, the works. Be sure to see those. They'll be in the box below in the Show More area. And also be sure to check out thechrisvossshow.com. Thanks for spending some time with us. Be sure to subscribe to our channel.